Good morning, good day, good afternoon, whichever one it may be for you. This is the Disc Golf Show. My name is Nick, and this is episode 17 of the 2026 season. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors, the first being our local pro shop, Final Nine Sports. If you're in Northern California, they have two locations, one in Orangevale and one in Rocklin. Always support local. However, if you're unable to find what you're looking for at your local pro shop, we do have a remedy for you, and that is Disc Golf Deals USA. If you go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow, you can save 10% off of your entire order. Some exclusions do apply, but save that money. As always, we like to start off with some good news. We've got a large show today, to be honest with you. I always feel like it's going to be a quick one, and then before, I've got a bunch of stuff I add. So we'll start off with Innova becoming partners with Paralyzed Veterans of America. So shout out to them. Anything we can do for veterans, the better. They are actually going to be selling special Halo Star Foxes to raise funds for the disc golf portion of the 2026 National Veterans Wheelchair Games, which there's going to be disc golf involved. So awesome to hear that. Disc golf getting involved in that aspect. Link will be down below for that disc if you're looking to support that. Latitude 64 recently announced the release of a new line of plastic for their Royal line, and it is called Royal Clear. They're stating it's slightly more overstable and has added durability. As much as I would like there to be a ton of more good news, there's some, but we're going to jump through some things that have happened since last episode. One being, I hope this is just, ribbing each other, but Gavin Babcock chirped back at Uli and Jerm on a comment they made about him airballing a putt in the background of coverage. He says, quote unquote, at Uli and at Big Jerm, maybe run your mouth less and try to cash for once. Classic move from the old guys. Posting the fact that Uli finished in 47th and Jerm finished in 53rd. I hope this was just, maybe he was having a bad day. Gavin seems like a good guy in a lot of the videos that you see him in. Everybody has their weak moments, and I feel like, especially coming from Uli and Big Jerm, this isn't something that should be taken to heart. They make fun of each other as much as everybody else. Was it all in good fun, or was he being too sensitive? Let me know what you think. And if you have some inside information, go ahead and share it. We did have the most recent big event was the Kansas City Wide Open. So there's a lot that happened at this event. One thing that I did inquire about is in relation to press conferences, and I found out that at least for this year, press conferences will only be held at 4-day events. So I could have sworn last year they were every event, 3 or 4-day held events, but I did get some information stating that that is why press conferences haven't been available for these 3-day events. So if you were wondering about that, that's why. It does make me realize how much I appreciate 4-day events more. I like listening to the press conferences. I know not everybody does, but it gives you some inside information as to the mental state on the players prior to the event starting. So hopefully that changes in the future for my point of view. But at least we have an answer as to why they aren't being held at these 3-day events. Time is definitely being taken much more seriously by officials or marshals at these events, as Gannon Burr in the first round had to use his 2 time extensions within the first, I think it was 6 holes. By hole 7, he had been forced to use both time extensions. That's a tough one to discuss or to really take sides on, because I think it has to be dependent on the case and the situation. It's a rule. It should be enforced. if it's not enforced, it shouldn't be a rule. Pretty much. I mean, it's pretty much as simple as that for me. But when it comes to these, they already did the extensions, the 45 time extensions, and you have 30 seconds to throw off the tee and when you're putting. But I think this is still all in the works as to how they're going to address this in the future, because we're still a young sport. As much as we've been around for 50 years or 50 plus years, it's all these things are going to be going back and forth. As much as we don't like it, it's going to happen. And until it comes to a head where, okay, we're going to stick with this and you can't please everybody and this is just going to be how it is, it's going to be this back and forth and point of argument and discussion. So it's a tough one to really, for me, I think, yeah, if it's a rule, call them on it. It may be tough. It may suck in that situation, but it's a rule and the players need to abide by those rules. So we'll get back to some more stuff on this. There's a bunch that happened in here. As for FPO, again, 3 finished players were on the lead card after round 1. Henna really showed that she is here to stay in relation to her putting. She did really well throughout this whole event. However, at the very end, Evelina was able to make that comeback, and it was like an 8-stroke deficit in round 3 to push it into a playoff, and then she ended up taking it in the first hole of the playoff. So big shout out to Evelina Salonen for that comeback victory. It's tough to see when you have a lead like Henna did throughout the event to not close it out, but that's how things go. Even though she didn't win, again, we do see that Henna has unlocked something with her putting, and that is going to show throughout the rest of the season as long as she's able to keep that putting stroke solid like she has been. Yeah, she misses some here and there, but it's completely changed these last couple events, and it's good to see that. And also, funny enough, this was the first time so far for DGPT to have 6 unique winners in the first 6 DGPT events, and those being in order: Scoggins, Handley, Girthy, Sarnen, Blomroos, and Salonen. So all those neat little tidbits are always fun to find out. We'll move on to MPO. Shout out to Joel Freeman. He did ace hole 7 in round 1. It's always good to see aces at these events. The more would be better, but we'll take one. Cole Radolin came out strong, as did Ricky Wysocki. They were leading after round 1. And then Cole, he's been working on a lot of his game. He's been discussing this and talking about this over the season. And he's been adjusting his putting, his driving, his drive angle, and it's working for him. So he's just been getting better and better every event. And this event having some issues that popped up, he was able to maintain that lead, and he did win. That being also with the issue of the third round being cut short down to 9 holes. Now, the interesting thing about that also is when the round ends after 9 holes, it ends up not being a rated round. It has to go through, I think it's 13 holes before the round can actually be rated. So this does affect Gannon's ability to strive after that record that Paul had made. But that's how it goes. If weather becomes an issue, which is what happened in this event, and they said for safety reasons, we've got to call it after 9 holes. I think the frustrating thing there is that they did address it prior to the third round, and they were stating, what are the situations? How is this gonna go down for each different situation that might arise? And you had Calvin asking questions, Ricky, Gannon, all of them, Cole, all of them asking, in addition to how time was going to be addressed and when you start the clock for your shot. and before being called for your time extension. So there was a lot going on at this event in which the PDGA/DGPT is going to have to dial it in and be more consistent on these things. This was the second time for KC Wide Open where weather ended up cutting it short, so players were not happy about that. But again, before I get moving on to these other topics, shout out to Cole Rodolin for this win. He put his all into it. He did really well. He was very consistent, and he earned it, whether or not it was a full third round. Weather, I've talked about this before. Weather definitely needs to be taken into consideration prior to tour schedule, deciding what that schedule is going to be. If this happens over and over like this, it shouldn't in the future. We know things happen, but you've got to make the adjustments as a company and as a tour management business. Other things that arose was that they had to adjust the field. So there were some players that had announced that, for the third round, FPO, the full field played, but only 70% of MPO's field ended up playing. And there were some people that had some grievances about that, saying that, it's not fair that I'm paying $350 to enter this event, and I'm not even being offered a partial refund. Well, that the refund is not an issue in the first place. You're not going to get a refund because the tournament cut short. That's just how it is. You got to deal with that. And it's crazy to think that you'd get a refund because everybody is affected. You think they're going to refund everybody. It's not going to happen. The other thing is that the bottom 30% most likely is not going to cash anyway. And I don't want to say that harshly, but that's just the case. And I do think Ricky did bring this up. He did state that either look for a better time of year for this event, which, like I said, that needs to be taken into consideration, weather big time, or make a more traditional cut to a smaller percentage of the field if the forecast looks questionable. I think that's definitely better. I'd say cut it down to the cash line. You had 2 rounds to be in that top cash line mark, and those people get to move on. And again, this can be remedied if the weather is addressed for scheduling. But in the case that it isn't, yes, you want to have these players play a full round. And it's tough for them because they want to play. They want that full time to show what they can do, to see if they can make a comeback. It looked like it was going to be a great battle. Cole won, I believe, by 3 strokes, 2 or 3 strokes over the 9 holes. There were 9 holes left. That can be caught up by any of the players that were on that lead card. But yeah, it's a tough call for them to make, but it is a necessary one. When it comes to safety of players, you're going to have to make that call whether anybody likes it or not. And then the last thing I think the fact that they did make that call 2 holes prior to the end of the front 9, make it earlier. Make that call earlier so that they know whether or not they want to run every hole or if they're able to play safe because they may have some other holes in the future to make up that gap. But ultimately, shout out to Evelina and Cole for those victories this year. And we look forward to seeing them at the top more. Moving on, complaints from players. We've got some more. We've got another update from, unfortunately, Hailey King. Hailey King ends up complaining about living wage for disc golfers when she was at the top of her game. There's a few things I want to touch on here. I think personally, I feel like it's coming from an entitled point of view. Some of these things, she stated when she won her national tour, she asked for a raise and was threatened to be taken to court over $14,400 a year pre-taxes. That's a tough thing to deal with, but that's what comes with the role. Next team that she joined paid her $48,000 a year pre-taxes. I don't know why she's adding in this pre-tax thing. Everybody gets paid. And then if you are in this situation where you're a pro athlete, a lot of times you're the ones making those taxes and paying those taxes. Everybody pays taxes, whether you see it in your check or whether you're the one that has to make those adjustments, you're going to end up having to pay those taxes. These companies never covered travel, food, or health care benefits. Again, pro athletes, a lot of them pay for their own health care. Travel and food, that depends on how good of an athlete you are. Yeah, you were the youngest to win the national tour when you did. But how many events after that did you win? You think that you win one big event and you're set for the rest of your life? I don't think that's the case, unfortunately. Her highest income level, she said she made 10 grand excluding living costs. I'm guessing highest would be 10 grand a month, which is pretty good. Excluding living costs, you're still fine if that's the case. 10 grand a year, that's definitely not the case because she said one of the teams paid her 48 a year. So that's got to be, I'm guessing, 10 grand a year. You're doing pretty good playing disc golf, making 10 grand a year or a month. 10 grand a month. Sorry. Also, she said she was never told, or she was told she was asking for too much and stating that asking for a living wage is never too much. Listen, when you're younger, I've harped about this multiple times, maybe not on here, but in discussion with other people. Living wage. When you're young, for me, living wage doesn't mean you get out as a young adult and you're able to buy a house, have a brand new car, have all these luxuries. That's not a living wage. Living wage is, you know what? I've got to learn how to deal with my expenses, learn how to pay my bills, learn what extra money I may have over after my paycheck, and maybe I move out with somebody so I can learn those things at a lower level. I don't think that this living wage thing that everybody states is not for the young adult who's coming out of school or high school or college where they have no experience in work and they've just been learning a lot. That's great. Good for you. But you've got to build your ability to live on your own and have a living wage. So that, I don't know why she's bringing that up. She can't wait till Pro Tour disc golf becomes a real sport, not just a hobby for those who can afford it. When a sport starts out, you give up a lot to help grow that sport. Look at all the other previous players. You're whining about this, but look at Climo, look at Schultz. Did these guys make any money when they were younger, starting this sport out? Again, this sport is still young. You are still helping grow the sport. It is not at a point where everybody can be rich off of disc golf. It's just not. Stop complaining. Be appreciative of what you have. Be appreciative for the situation that you're in. If you're not doing well, that's on you. Train more, work harder, and show that you deserve these things, not just because you did it once or twice. You've got to show consistency. I have no ill will towards her. I hope she is able to make a good living doing whatever it is that she wants, whether it's disc golf or something else. But coming into this, it just sounds like an entitled point of view. Whether you agree with me or not, that's fine. I get it. I don't mind. That's why we have different people in the world, different points of view. So come at me, don't come at me, agree with me, don't agree with me. Let me know what you think about her comments and her recent post. Again, we'll move on to another silly point of view. And I don't know if you've seen this on some of the socials, but a quote-unquote Karen had done her best in Virginia to try to stop the installation of a disc golf course by bringing a basket in and putting at the basket and saying, basically, do you want this noise in the neighborhood? If you don't like this noise, then don't allow this course to be put in. It's going to wake up the babies in the neighborhood. It's going to annoy the people living there. Now, this person also probably doesn't understand how many benefits come from disc golf. Let's say it's great for kids, an option for kids to get out and it's an all ages sport. It's open for anybody and everybody. It gets people in nature, gives them exercise. It helps with homeless encampments on certain properties. A lot of times, city or county properties, it is a good option for a disc golf course to help clean up the area. And why is this still a problem? Unfortunately, there will always be people who want to ruin other people's fun. I hope she sees the good side of disc golfers. I hope this course gets installed and she can understand the benefits that come from it. But sometimes, people don't want their minds changed. So let me know if you've seen anything about this, any of the video. Let me know what your response or take was on it. I'm always curious to hear that. We're going to run through some other items here. Like I said, this show is going to be fairly long, longer than normal. But here's some good ones. Vessi becomes official course sponsor of Black Locust for the 2026 PDGA Pro World Championships. It's always good. See those companies supporting disc golf. Disc Golf Pins partners with the WGE, or Women's Global Event. So for every TD of a WGE event, they can contact, they can contact the PDGA and order their free disc golf pins from the PDGA for any TD of a WGE event. And all these pins will be for every participant, which is awesome. We are big fans of disc golf pins. The quality is fantastic. The customer service is wonderful. Custom orders are great. Go check them out. But also, those pins will be shipped free of charge to your event. So if you are a TD of a WGE event, just know that you get those free pins from Disc Golf Pins. OTB Europe becomes the presenting partner for the DGPT EuroTour, which is cool. Ford also becomes the official logistics partner for the DGPT EuroTour and DGN. And all during this, Ford is celebrating 100 years within Finland. And quote unquote, Ford's fleet will be the backbone of the tour's movement between elite venues across the continent. So again, we've seen Ford sponsor the European Open over many, many years, possibly decades, but they are also going to be more involved in the DGPT EuroTour and DGN. That's always good to see. If you are interested, DGPT is looking to hire a social media director. So if you have experience there, you can check the link below and see if you qualify. PDGA has the global boards candidates that they're looking for the 2026 PDGA elections. So if you're looking at being on that board, again, link will be down below. They do this every year. Check that out. And also the global from the Paul Macbeth Foundation. It's a worldwide disc golf tournament fundraiser. The information for this is going to be, it's held on September 19th. It's going to be PDGA sanctioned C tiers. It's going to have a worldwide leaderboard. So there's going to be a lot on the back end for them to do on, obviously everybody's playing different courses and all that stuff. But their goals are to have 100 plus tournaments, engage 5,000 competitors, and raise more funds to expand disc golf access. Always good stuff coming from Paul Macbeth Foundation. If you're looking to learn more about that post or about that announcement, link will be down below. Also, a link to how to host an event will be below, as well as how to sign up to an event that is already in your area. So go check those out for any of those options. A new app has been announced, and it's called Carded. It's for local minis, so your local tournaments. Link for this, it's currently on Apple apps. And then it creates cards and manages payouts for your local minis. They're also asking for feedback to make the app better. So again, the app is called Carded. It's a scorecard app for your local mini tournaments. And then last for news, again, it's a long one. This one's cool. The 2026 PDGA President's Cup announcements and changes have been posted. This is the 15th edition of the President's Cup. It will be held on June 16th, 2 weeks prior to the PDGA European Open in Tallinn, Estonia. The changes are as follows. It's growing to 3 9-hole rounds within one single day. The teams will jump from 10 people per team to 14 with 2 reserves. So more people are going to be involved in this, which is cool. Equal teams also. There will be 7 MPO and 7 FPO players per team. I'm on the border with that one. There are more MPO players than FPO, but, we'll see how this goes, see if it takes hold or see if it needs to be adjusted again. The captains were announced. So this year for USA, you have Katrina Allen, and for Europe, no surprise, Kristen Lott. So shout out to them. The player selection process is as follows. The captains get 4 MPO and FPO picks. PDGA and PDGA Europe staff get 1 MPO and 1 FPO pick. The world rankings, PDGA world rankings, will dictate 1 MPO and 1 FPO pick. And then again, as always, they will have a popular vote. So we will be able to vote as fans who we want as the last single MPO and FPO player on those teams, which is always fun. Event schedule will be the first round will be match play, and it will be 2 MPO and 2 FPO teams. There will be a small break, and then there will be an alternate shots mixed doubles with 4 different teams. There will be another small break, and then the final 9 holes will be stroke play with 2 MPO and 2 FPO battles. In case of a tie, sudden death will be a playoff on hole 18 on repeat, and the team captain will get to choose which player they want for that battle. So that is really good news, really good updates. I am curious as to see how that will go down this year and if there will be any changes. I'm sure there will be changes. Again, like I said, we're a young sport. There's going to be a lot of changes throughout the upcoming future. All right, that leads us to the disc golf question of the episode. This throws us back to related to the KC Wide Open. When do you feel, personally, the shot or throw clock should start? Do you think it's once you walk up and see your lie? Do you think it's once you stand directly behind it? Or something else, like once you figured out which disc you want to throw? I don't know. What other options do you think that would apply to when the shot clock or throw clock should start counting? Let me know below. I'm always curious to hear your guys' opinions. Do me a favor before we move on to gear and equipment. Hit that subscribe, like, share notifications. All the goods. It's very much appreciated. All those little things go a long way. So thank you so much. Moving on to gear and equipment. This segment is brought to you by Disc Golf Deals USA. Go to discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. Save 10% off your entire order. Some exclusions do apply, but bags, carts, baskets, big orders, all that adds up. You can save a lot of money. Yesterday, we had 4 discs approved, and those will be the following. So we have Ball is Disc. This is their second mold, had the ACP approved. We have Alpha Discs, had the Vest approved. We have Discraft with Seppo Payu's disc, the Captain's Caliber, otherwise known as DIS-0426-P. That disc was approved. And Climate Disc Golf, not Climo Disc Golf, Climate Disc Golf had the Igloo approved. As for recent and upcoming releases, Discmania, again, the prototype Swirl S-Line DD4, which is the European Open 2026 fundraiser disc, is coming April 29th, so tomorrow. Gannon Burr Signature Series Horizon Q-Line Cloudbreaker coming May 4th. Man, these discs are becoming a mouthful. Westside Discs had the Veamo, Mistress of the Waters. It's a mid-range shaped for control, glide, and effortless flow. That is also arriving May 4th. And if you haven't seen, Prodigy recently announced the H6 400 Glow Plastic Slasher Stamp, which will release on May 7th. And then also, Discraft announced Chris Dickerson's signature edition Roost. A very cool stamp on there. Retailers will be able to order that on May 1st, and the release will be May 22nd. And then last but not least, Paul Macbeth Foundation announced their Dominican Republic discs are available for purchase now. So if you are interested in supporting that project, almost went blank there. That project, go check that out. Again, all those links will be down below. And last but not least, for disc golf equipment, we have shoes, the most important item in your disc golf gear. And as always, we have actually more than what we normally do. We have Vessi and Ideo Sports. Always shout out to them. Again, Vessi's very involved in Ideo. It is a grassroots disc golf centric shoe company. Ideo Sports has the Syncrasy Evo V2 and Brawlers, which are their low top and high top. And Vessi has a plethora of different shoes, day shoes, disc golf shoes, normal shoes, any of those, go check them out. Waterproof, lightweight. The main difference is the rake to the sole. So depending on if you like a zero style shoe or not, go check those out. Obviously, personal preference applies. But we do have a new one from Fly Green Performance called the Pivot. They have had 2 years of work going into this shoe. It will be for sale at the end of May. They currently have some samples sizes available, and they are available for purchase for $79.99. They're stating the applicable items being water resistant, rugged and versatile, aggressive grip, and a reinforced toe drag protection. So we are seeing some commonalities between these shoes, but again, the more the merrier, because it will only increase the quality of the product that will be available in the future. So go check them out. That brings us to the upcoming events. We'll give you the next 2 weeks. This weekend, May 1st to 3rd, Innova presents the 2026 Waco. It's a Jomez Pro Series event, and that is held in Waco, Texas. And then the following weekend, May 7th to 10th, the 2026 Barbasol Open at Austin, presented by Hampton Inn Home 2 Suites Austin East, is a DGPT Plus event. So love watching those events, and that's held in Austin, Texas. So yeah, put those on your calendar. Let me know if you're going to be watching those on the network or not, or if you'll watch post-production by Jomez. That brings us to the mailbag, where we give you some items and some videos to consume, or whether you've seen them or not, they're here for you. As for the product, if you ever have issues, if you ever play a lot near water or in some thick trees, you might want one of these, and it's a retriever by Max Distance. It's the suction cup retriever. They are having a 4-year anniversary sale, so shout out to them. Buy a disc, get a free carbon fiber section or magnetic clip, up to 4 total. And this sale will be running through May 31st. And this has become the most highly touted disc retriever out on the market. There's several of them out there, ones with hooks, ones with different devices to retrieve your disc, but this one seems to be like the one that's come out on top. So if you're looking for one, go check them out. They have a variety of lengths too that you can purchase. And as for the video, going back to a staple, Simon Lizotte, Finding the Lines with Simon and Avery. This one is about a new course that's finally being installed in New Hampshire after 5 years of delays by Avery-Jenkins and Simon Lizotte. And it's always good to see these videos where you see the perspective of the designer. And I feel this one mostly because it took about that long to get the course that I was a co-designer of in. So I feel the pain of delays and dealing with city, county, and the things that you got to work around. But in the end, it's going in. It's great to see. Go check out that video. It is down below. That brings us to the end of the show, guys. This one was longer than normal, not crazy, but a little bit. And as always, we like to give you some ways to save some money. If you're looking for a new bag, you can go to Upper Park Disc Golf, use code Disc Golf Show, save some money there. Again, shout out to Disc Golf Deals USA. Go to discgolfdealsusa.com/disc golf show. Save 10% off your entire order. Large orders of discs, practice putters, baskets, carts, bags, anything that they have. There are some exclusions that do apply, but any of those big ticket items or large orders, save that 10%. It adds up. And then also, big shout out to our local pro shop, Final Nine Sports. If you're in the Sacramento area in Northern California, they have 2 locations, one in Rocklin, one in Orangevale. Always support local if you can. And if you have any items you want me to throw into the next episode, send me an email, discgolfshow@gmail.com. I'm always happy to include some other information into upcoming episodes. And again, before I head out, hit that subscribe, like, share, notifications, all the goods. I really do appreciate it, guys. And I will see you next week.